Music venues threatened by the noise complaints offered greater protections. Thank fucking God. If it wasn't bad enough having fucking, local members of the community and council basically shutting down clubs because of noise complaints or because of whatever else they don't like about the clubs, it's really imperative that local councils work together with music venues to work out some sort of deal where they can maybe help them out with sound installation or whatever, just so they can kind of circumnavigate those type of things, because those are usually the first complaints you'd imagine local residents will have with clubs being in and around where they live. And I think in places like Berlin, that's what they have really well. They have a good relationship with local councils and clubs, whatever. And some of them, I think there's like a bursary or grant you can apply for that can kind of allow you to kind of properly sound insulate your club so that you can avoid running into issues where neighbors are complaining about the noise and shit. This is courtesy of Mixmag, what they say here. Music venues in England and Wales that are likely to be or have previously been threatened with noise complaints are set to be offered greater protection as part of the new plans from the Department of Business and Trade. New protections will support clubs, live music venues and bars and pubs that are subject to complaints from neighbouring residents following heightened fears over venue closures. Reforms could be introduced under the National Licensing Policy Framework and would mean that developers looking to build properties near existing venues must properly soundproof buildings. Thank God. Other measures could allow plans to build further hospitality venues in those areas to be fast-tracked, making it easier for small businesses to open and operate across London and England, or England and Wales. Another good news. The quote here is, red tape has stood in the way of people's business ideas for too long. Today we are slashing those barriers for giving small business owners the freedom to flourish, explains Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds. The government also looks to introduce new hospitality zones as part of the reforms, allowing for more leniency in street parties and al fresco dining, with the plans to grant extended opening times for venues. Thank God again. It follows a turbulent few years of the music industry where growing venue closures due to factors such as rising costs and roused with noise complaints from newly built neighbouring buildings. In April, a report from the Capital on Tap predicted that 57% of London's pubs and clubs will shut down by 2030. 57%. Jesus. It counted 8,457 pubs and clubs in London currently, predicting that the figure will drop to 3,617 in 5 years. And by the way, don't think as if like all those clubs are the amazing Berghain level mega clubs. They're just, some of them, I wonder what the stipulation is to actually kind of classify what a club is. I wonder if a place that has a dance floor can be classified as a club, because there's not many. They say 3,000, 4,000, but I don't really see all these places. There's just this, especially if you go on RA. You go on RA any given weekend, it's the same 10 venues that people are using. So I don't really know where all these thousands of venues are in the first place. They're probably not any good places. So even the places that aren't that good, that are hanging on for dear life, are getting fucking hurt. Plans were approved to build a new office block near Brighton live music venue, the Prince Albert, in January. Despite a petition against the proposal garnering more than 22,000 signatures, the government hopes the new reforms will make it easier for open nightlife businesses to unused spaces and promote alfresco dining. Again, that's all they care about, alfresco drinking and dining. If you open a restaurant or a fucking wine bar, they're fucking quick to grant your license. But trying to open clubs suddenly fucking gets tricky. It's like, fuck off. For far too long, it says here, pubs have been stifled by clunky, outdated rules. We're bidding them to protect pavement, pints, alfresco dining, and street parties, not just from the summer, but for all year round. You know what? Yeah, this bit here is the reason why things are shit here. Plans were approved to build a new office block next to Brighton live music venue, Prince Albert. I don't have a problem with them building an office block next to a venue. The problem I have is what happens after, right? The sentence after this. Despite a petition against proposals garnering more than 22,000. So the people that were there before, the people that made that area trendy, right? The people that made that area cool or desirable to move to are like, hey, can you not build this office block next where we are? They don't consider them. There's no consideration. There's no meeting in the middle. There's no nothing. The office block gets built. Cool. The apartment building gets built. Cool. Property developers get their fucking buildings up. People move in. Tenants buy their places, rent, whatever. Great. Amazing. Then as soon as they complain, they have the right to basically, or they have the power, the influence, the sway to get that whole live music venue shut down, even though they moved in after. And what I don't like about it, because I'm a sensible grown-up individual, I'm not expecting those venues to exist forever. But can we have a compromise? Can we meet each other in the middle? Yes, I was here before. I know I have more rights than you do, and I probably should be getting the advantage and the position to be able to say and to kind of call things as they are, whatever it may be. But that's not going to be happening because obviously you'd imagine with properties and shit and the money involved in that, people are going to be swayed more towards that. Fair enough. But let's at least have a compromise. Maybe if I open until 6, maybe now that there's new buildings next to me, I can't open until 6 all weekend. I can only open until 6 on a Saturday. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe I close one of the days during the week. I mean, like, maybe there's a compromise. Don't just shut me down. That's what I hate. There's a lack of compromise whenever gentrification conversations happen. There's a lack of compromise, especially when it comes to the residents. The residents have a really outsized, outbalanced, fucking amount of power and influence in terms of shutting down entire strips, industries, and clubs and shit. It's really out of order. And I'm someone that, again, to be reasonable, because we're never gonna be in a place where clubs are favored and whatever, maybe because societally, maybe we're just not in that place where people respect nightlife in that respect. But at least compromise. Please, for the love of God, man. At least a little bit of compromise. So maybe this new initiative will help to kind of ease some of that sort of shit. Because some of those noise complaint situations are really fucking stupid. Like, people live or move next to a fucking popping, metropolitan area with a lot of bars and clubs and shit, and the first thing they complain about is the bars and clubs and get those shut down. Like, fuck right off, mate. Fuck right off if you don't mind. Fuck right off if you don't mind.